gentlemen, podcasting since 2005. You're listening to Gamertag Radio with your hosts, podcaster Hall of Famer Danny Pena, the always opinionated Paris Lilly, and from outside of the norm, Peter Toledo. This is Gamertag Radio.
And welcome to episode 1202 of Gamertag Radio. I'm Paris, and I'm joined by Pete.
What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm good. Danny's not here, so I'm doing fantastic. It's always good when Danny's not here.
Truer words have never been spoken.
No, Danny's taking care of some personal business this week, so he won't be on this episode. So it's just Pete and I. And, this week, there's not a whole lot going on in the gaming world. So a couple topics we'll hit, but we'll see what else pops up during the normal form of conversation. But before we do that, I want to remind everyone, you can check us out over at GamertagRadio.com. You can subscribe to the podcast on Spotify, iTunes, Coleco, anywhere you want. Anywhere there's a podcast, you can subscribe to Gamertag Radio. And if you want to leave us feedback, you could do it just like this.
Send us your feedback or questions. Give us a call at 786-273-7GTR. Email us at fanmail@gamertagradio.com or leave a message on speakpipe.com/gamertagradio.
All right, Pete. So on last episode, Danny and Ree reviewed the Halo TV series. Mm-hmm. We've both watched it, so we want to chime in and give our 2 cents as well. And it's I don't even say it's unfortunate, but my youngest daughter's birthday was on the same day as the red carpet premiere. So Xbox and Paramount did invite me to go. Unfortunately, I couldn't go because obviously family's first. Right. Because I was spending time with my daughter. But Danny and Ree got a chance to go to the Hollywood premiere. I saw some of the pictures of everyone in attendance, so it looked really awesome. But I did watch it the next day on Paramount Plus. I'm assuming you got to watch it as well. So I did. I'm actually curious your thoughts on the Halo TV series. What did you think?
So I think going into it, I had a little bit of expectation, right? We've all enjoyed Halo through various bits over the past, 15 years, 20 years now. There were moments in there where I was like, okay, cool. That's cool. Obviously, and we'll talk about the big thing that everybody's talking about with regards to the show. The acting, I think, was above average. You've got, Pablo Schreiber, et cetera, as the cast. I think there's no big issue there. I think graphically or visually, I enjoyed it. Seeing like the plasma weapons from the Covenant being used, the effect of what plasma would really do to the human body or to components out in the real world was realistic. I do have a little bit of issue with, I don't know, just the Chief showing his face. That has always been a major component to Halo. You never see John 117's face. I know because it's a TV show and they have to, it's a plot device almost to a point. We saw it happen in The Mandalorian. They're never supposed to remove their helmet, and he does it. Spoiler alert. Sorry. But there were moments of it where I was okay. This is cool. I think it's going to take a few more episodes for me to really truly become a fan of it. To the point where I'm eagerly anticipating the next episode. Like we've seen with other with other shows. I don't know about you, but I never knew Sangheili were that beefy. The elites, they've been hitting the weight. They've been with you, doing deadlifts in the gym. I was surprised. I thought they would have stayed true to canon on that one. I'm curious how they'll represent some of the other Covenant, the grunts, etc. It was cool seeing Truth and the rest of the prophets. That was really cool. I don't understand who the girl is in the outfit, the human. It was cool seeing Halsey. It was cool seeing Keys, seeing early on what Cortana will look like. I think it was pretty cool. But I mean, I think for me, it was cool to see because I'm a fan. I think I may have enjoyed it more than just the normal layperson. And it's at least it didn't set a high bar and has to maintain it. I think it was okay being maybe a 6 out of 10, and it's got room to grow and improve.
Yeah. I'm kind of with you on that, on kind of the review score. So my thing is, I mean, overall, I did enjoy it. It grabbed me enough to vest me into wanting to see where the story ultimately will go. When you bring up, this is, the 800-pound gorilla in the room, Chief taking his helmet off. Yeah, we knew this was going to happen, and I was completely against it before the show came out for everything that you said. But watching it in the moment and understanding it is a TV show, this isn't canon to the games. It's almost like it's its own reality of the Halo universe. I get it. I probably wouldn't have done it in episode 1. I would have done it maybe middle of the season to kind of build up to the moment where you actually see his face. But I understand why they did it. My only critique on it is, even in this alternate reality, is, I mean, it was just Pablo. It was just the actor. They didn't, do anything with his face, scars, anything to kind of make you, with the whole Spartan program and everything that we know lore wise that everyone goes through. He was just a normal guy under the helmet. So that was a little disappointing to me. I was expecting more. I like the way they've set it up, that this being an alternate reality, the things that we've encountered in the game haven't necessarily happened yet, right? He has not been to a Halo ring yet. He doesn't have Cortana yet. They're already calling him Demon, but we know from the game he gets that nickname from the events of Halo Combat Evolved. So why are they calling him Demon already? So that'll be interesting to see. Like you said, seeing Truth and all that, how that plays out in this world will be interesting. We've not run into any grunts or brutes yet in this world. So what do they look like in this? Because like you mentioned, the elites, look like they've been hitting the gym versus what we had in the game. I would say visually it's good, but not great. I do wish it was a tad better, and they did spend the money on the budget, so it's not like they cheaped out on the budget wise from a visual standpoint. I think the best way I can describe this, just the story and just the look and everything of it, this feels like Star Trek post Deep Space Nine. That's what this feels like to me. It feels like something from Enterprise or Discovery up in that range, even Picard, which is airing right now, ironically enough, on Paramount Plus. It feels like that. That's what this world of Halo looks like to me in live action. I do think it's a lot more brutal with the violence than I was expecting, which I'm good with. But obviously kids and everything, you at least want to warn them before they jump into it. It is unfortunate that this does kind of feel like The Mandalorian with the way they set things up in the first episode, but let's see how it goes. Obviously, first impressions, we don't know where the story's going to go, but that it's just an inevitable comparison that's going to happen. So it's kind of unfortunate for them because obviously both of these shows were in production at the same time.
Correct.
Like I said, I'm interested. I'm invested into it. I don't think it's terrible by any means. Like you said, probably give it 7.5 out of 10. Let's see how it progresses, where it takes everything. But they definitely quickly humanized Chief in the first episode, where in the games we didn't really start to get the humanization of him really, and you started to see around Halo 4, and obviously Infinite really kind of cemented it, here with the last game. So Like I said, I'm interested to see. We obviously know there's other Spartans in this world. He has a squad that he rolls with. What is his relationship going to be like with them? What is it going to be when Cortana is finally introduced? With that, obviously we know Halsey is going to be, a big component of this. You have Miranda Keyes and Captain Keyes are in here as well. So a lot of the key figure, we haven't run into Sergeant Johnson yet. So I'm interested to see, what they're going to do with Sergeant Johnson. But you're starting to see the characters from the lore. Reach is obviously a thing in this world as well. So from a lore standpoint, it felt good. There was a lot of familiarity there, but they're doing it differently. So I'm good with it. I just need to see more, I think, to really form a final opinion if this is going to be yay or nay. And clearly, Paramount is invested because they've already picked up season 2. So we know we're going to get this story fleshed out to some point and not have the rug pulled under us with like some cliffhanger or something crazy like that. So
it was really cool seeing some of the Covenant ships, right? Seeing it, seeing the elite go invis and then jump in and just take off and just I can't remember the name of the ship, the speeder ship that he's in. I think it's memories are hard. The purple speeder thing, is it a Banshee that he jumps in? Yeah,
you see him in a Banshee.
Yeah. That was really cool. Seeing him just take off like that. Seeing the plasma swords in use was guttural, I think, in a sense, because like you said, it was a little more graphic and a little more visceral with how they did that. And I don't know if they did that for shock value or to keep it within, I guess essentially if you think about it, what plasma or things or what those type of weapons would really do as opposed to what they can portray in a video game and keep that rating. Was there anything there, or is there anything there that you're really anticipating, whether it be a place, whether it be characters, whether it be something that we all know and love from the Halo universe? Is there something that you're either before or after this first episode that you're looking forward to seeing?
It would be the Halo ring. I would imagine probably by the time we get to end of season 1, we're at least going to acknowledge a Halo ring, if not land on a Halo ring and everything that would offer into the show. It would be interesting to see set design, how they handle that. We know the Forerunners are eventually going to play a part into this somehow. The Flood is going to be in this somehow as well. I would think from a story standpoint, the interesting thing that they've introduced here in season 1 or episode 1 that I'm curious to see how it plays out is we've always viewed the UNSC as the good guys. That's just how it's always been in the games. It's never been a question. They make you second guess that now. Are they really the good guys? That'll be interesting to see how that plays out with everything that happens with Chief in the first episode. And you obviously have the rebels and all that. Why are they rebels? Why are they not aligned with the UNSC? Why do they hate, all that. So let's see how all that plays out. I do have a feeling we're going to at least see a faction of the Covenant be sympathetic. Think the Arbiter. That's obviously another character that we've not seen yet. And how is that going to play out in this series? See, like I said, from a TV series standpoint and a longevity standpoint, there's a lot of lore in the Halo universe that can be explored and fleshed out. And a TV series gives you the time to really, characterization, build up a character so that we can have an emotional attachment to them. So let's see. Let's see how it goes. Let's see where it goes. But like I said, I'm definitely vested at this point to see more.
Well, yeah, I think I want to see things like I just want to see a skull in use, right? Whether they use it as a joke or like a quick like Easter egg, like picking up the skull. Whether it's like let's play Griff Ball or something like that, right? Something that is a true nod or an homage to us as the players, right?
Yeah,
I'd love to see things. Oh. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's the other thing, the ODSTs. Mm-hmm. I mean, that they'll probably be a thing in this as well. Like I said, there's a ton of characters and lore yet to be explored.
Yeah, there's just little things. Will they have reference to something like Forge? Right, so, another thing that's obviously a nod to the game itself that would be difficult in essence to translate to the screen unless they say it's kind of like a training area, right? Where it's called the Forge, right? I could maybe see them doing something like that. But
yeah,
or some of the other characters, I don't see them using anything early on weaponry wise, like from maybe Halo Infinite, right? I would see, I think they would stick more to, I don't know if we'll see like the commander machine gun type things or anything. But I mean, obviously I think they're going to stick to, obviously we see the pistol heavily in use. We see the sniper, which I thought was really cool. We did see the BR, we did see the regular AR, and I liked how they used the plasma shot from one of the elites that came down. Or I guess, is that an elite that we saw? Were those elites or were those just regular Sangheilies?
I thought they were elites. That was my assumption.
Really? Because elites usually have like the brighter color, like the purple pinkish like armor on top, whereas these just had the standard blue. So, because like sometimes you also see them in bright red, right? You have the elites in red.
Well, yeah, there's different, obviously, ranks of them, but I just assumed they were the standard elites.
Yeah. Other ones I think I'd like to see is just, I want to see a brute in place. Just, I can't imagine how much larger that tanky beast is going to look in comparison to the elite, in comparison to Sangheilies, because usually they're massive. And like, if you look at them in comparison to Sangheilies, the size disparity, they're huge. So I would love to see that. So that's and
that awesome. Was kind of my thought as well. I'm like, if they're making the elites this big, well, how the hell, how big are the freaking brutes, right? So it'll be interesting to see those reveals and to see, like I said, how it plays out and all that. I would say my only final thing, like quirk, was, Steve Downs' voice, kind of like Kevin Conroy's voice, is just iconic. So to not hear that voice come out of that character is just weird to me. I definitely did not get used to that by the end of the episode, but I would assume, it'll continue to grow on me throughout the season. But it's that would probably be my only other thing. But like I said, so far so good. Not terrible, not the greatest, but good enough to keep me interested and want to see how it plays out.
Yeah, definitely agree with that on the voice. See, just hearing Pablo is just, it was just off-putting, and not in a negative way. Obviously, this, unless you're going to have the physical act, the voice actor there, it's going to be extremely difficult to try to dub that. Whether they do it through modulation, et cetera.
But Jen Taylor's coming back as Cortana, or at least the voice of Cortana. It's a different actress playing Cortana in the series.
Oh,
I get it though. Pablo, he's a pretty known actor, obviously from The Wire, Orange is the New Black, stuff like that. He probably doesn't want to get James Earl Jones and have his voice dubbed over in there. It's like, if he's taking the helmet off, we're seeing it's him. They want it to be him.
I guess.
I thought a trick they could have done was, in the helmet, it's Steve Downs, but when he takes the helmet off, almost like a voice modulator, now you hear Pablo's voice. Yeah, that probably could have been a compromise. Yeah.
You heard that.
So
you heard it. Paramount. There's your fix for that.
Too late. It's too late now.
Season two then.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So that's Halo TV series. Definitely let us know what you think about it. I'm pretty sure this will be a hot topic over the next few weeks as the series continues to play out for season 1. So moving on into the world of video games, Project Spartacus, PlayStation's subscription service, Bloomberg, Jason Schreier and those guys over there announced that as soon as this week, we could see the official reveal of what Project Spartacus is going to be for a subscription service. We've seen rumors over the past few months about this tiered approach, basically combining PlayStation Plus and PlayStation Now into one subscription service. Like I said, it would have tiers to it, with the highest tier having streaming capabilities, access to classic titles, nothing day and date. But I'm intrigued. I definitely want to see what the final tiered pricing looks like and what we get at each tier. I want to see what I get at that highest tier. And If I can just continue, I'll say my wish list would be, I do not expect day and date at all. That just doesn't make sense for PlayStation. This is not a direct competitor to the Xbox Game Pass, first and foremost. So for what they're attempting to accomplish, they want to provide cloud streaming for their games, so you can start playing these games on multiple platforms. Obviously, that's what PlayStation Now is, the component that they're combining in here, granting access to their back catalog of classic titles, which I do think there's going to be high interest in that for a lot of these classic PlayStation games. Tamor over at GameSpot, I heard him even say when he was on Kind of Funny Daily, he would love to see something like Metal Gear Solid 4 be a part of that. He think that would be a huge title for them, pulling from the back catalog into this. I would even say looking more newer titles. It would just make sense to me that you take something like to kind of launch it off, right? Last of Us 2 should be a part of it. I can see from PlayStation 5 Vault, you're taking like the launch titles like Miles Morales as an example, right? I kind of feel like whatever this is going to be coming out of the gate, titles like that, newer titles should be a part of it. No, you're not going to get Gran Turismo 7 or God of War Ragnarok or any of these newer titles. I could see Returnal even being a part of this as well. At the highest tier, it would just make sense. It would give you that enhanced PlayStation Plus, where you're getting titles in the service. Obviously, there would probably be some older third-party titles that would be a part of it as well. And like I said, at the highest tier, give you access to a lot of the classic PlayStation titles. I mean, and when I say classic, I'm talking hopefully PS1 and up. That would be great. The trick's going to be, and this is the interesting part for me anyways, it sounds like those are going to be streaming only, which would be a disappointment. I would hope that at least on the PlayStation 5, they figured out emulation so that we could download those games natively and play them natively on the PlayStation 5. PlayStation 5 should be beefy enough if they figured out the emulation to have us play the PlayStation 3 and below games natively versus having to stream them. But it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. I'm definitely curious. Like I said, I do not expect this to be a direct competitor to Xbox Game Pass, but the pricing is going to be key. I would imagine at the lowest tier, the pricing will just stay the same for what it already is for PlayStation Plus. Then probably, again, going by the rumors, that middle tier would, probably add some streaming component in there. And then obviously at the highest tier, that's where you get all the bells and whistles. I'm looking at what that highest tier, because if the rumors are true, it's the highest tier that's going to interest me. I already have PlayStation Plus, so that doesn't affect me. But I want to see what that highest tier looks like and what I get at the highest tier for the money. And this is where the comparison is going to come in. Game Pass Ultimate, we know, is $15 a month. So if you're going to charge me $15 a month or more, because, there was that silly fake thing on social media. I don't think anyone needs to believe that. That is not going to be the pricing tier. But if you're going to challenge Game Pass Ultimate at $15 a month, what's the value add that I'm getting at $15 a month on their highest tier? Since you're not going to give me day and date games, you got to give me enough of that back catalog and streaming capabilities that it would make sense to me to want to invest into the highest tier. Because if not, why would I get it? If for the newest games, I still need to go purchase them at $60, $70 a pop, right? Versus getting them in the subscription service. So interesting to see what it'll be like. Hopefully it does come this week. And then I'm sure there will be a complete meltdown on social media because everyone's going to argue over what's better when you shouldn't be comparing them at all, in my personal opinion. But curious your thoughts.
So before I say my next step, my next thoughts, just for my edification, what was the meme subscription fees that you saw on Twitter?
Oh, he asked me to go look that nonsense up. I don't know. I know one of them was like PlayStation Plus Neo, and I think it was like $24 a month or something silly like that. It's like that. They're not doing that. No way that's freaking happening.
All right. So I went down the rabbit hole over the last 18 hours because I figured this was what we were going to talk about, whether it was the two of us or the three of us all being on the show. So from the rumors that I've been reading and everything I've been digging in, I'm hearing it's going to be called Essential, Extra, and Premium, right? So from a price perspective, we're looking at Essential being $10, extra being the middle tier would be 13, and premium would be 16. 16 is the one that everybody's talking about, where it gives you features like cloud streaming, access to classic games like from PS1, PS2, and 3, and then potential like demos before their initial release. Extra would be basically anything from the first tier, but you would have access to like 300 games downloadable in addition to whatever's in Essential. And Essential would be essentially PlayStation Plus, with like additional multiplayer functions, and a download of regular 2 to 3 monthly games, like it currently is anyway. I really don't know how I'm feeling negative, and I talked about this I brought this up on the Discord channel, that I don't understand why they're doing the whole tier thing personally. I just think, why not just offer everything and make it truly something that competes with Game Pass? Obviously, Game Pass is...
It can't.
But if you're going to make a service like this, you have to bring it as close as possible, even if you can't 100% deliver games day one, like Game Pass does. Make it compelling enough that it makes people think, you know what? That makes sense. Let me go ahead and do that. And that's the big thing, right? If they can't provide that, or they're choosing not to, for whatever reason, I don't know, right? Well, obviously, we won't know for weeks to come, or at least until when they announce this. But I think personally, not having at least a true competition for Game Pass, for me personally, makes this a no buy. I don't see.
But why do you need this to compete with Game Pass? That's my point. Why does it need to?
I don't want to say it's the console war thing, but we're gonna bring little Johnny back from 2017. Okay, let's bring Johnny back into the room, and his parents, that are going to be ultimately paying for little Johnny's video game experience. If you put both of them, if you had to draw up the deck out of Microsoft Paint of which one, because as a parent, we're obviously going to do the math. We're going to look at it, see which one is the bigger, better value for little Johnny. I'm going to look at, okay, he's going to get all the back catalogs. Okay, both services offer it. The ability to have day one games, day and date, boom, boom, boom. Okay, all right, Microsoft gets a check mark. But there's no other thing that gives you the compelling argument or reason to choose one over the other. And I'm just using that part as the example, right? Me personally, I think it should be all in. You get everything for one shot. That way you're not dealing with, because I just don't understand the nickel dime theory on this, right? I think it just makes more sense as a consumer to have one price and include everything. Make it accessible and make it compelling. Give your demographic a reason to choose one over the other. We already know that PlayStation's, you can't find them, right? And I guess in this day, I guess this is one way. I guess if you don't have it, you don't have a PlayStation 5, how would you be able to play this? But I guess you could do it on 4 as well. But give them a reason to do it. Again, we don't know everything that's going to be involved, whether it's on 1 tier, 2 tier, 4 tier, 12 tier, 43 tiers. Who knows? We won't know until Sony actually comes out and delivers everything. But if these are the 3 tiers of what of what's coming out, I don't see a compelling reason. And also, what happens to the people? Because you can buy, kind of like what we've all done with Game Pass. You can buy months or years up to a certain cap. What happens to people who have existing subs for PlayStation Plus and PlayStation Now? Do those get rolled over? What's the conversion cost for that? Will you get true value for having 18 months already lined up of PlayStation Plus, but now they're coming out with, let's say premium? Would all of those features be rolled up into 18 months of concurrent service, or would you get like a 60% value or whatever it is? Similar to like the whole Xbox credits from the Xbox 360 days.
But that's the thing. We don't know. because we're only going by rumor and speculation at this point. That's why I'm trying to not prejudge until we have the actual pricing tiers and the content that comes with them. Clearly, these rumors have leaked. Clearly, PlayStation has been paying attention to what people have said. Mm-hmm. So they may have adjusted since. We don't know. That's true. For the very things that you're saying. So that's why I want to see what it looks like in its final form. Like I said, I think I got PlayStation Plus for like the next 3 years. I think I've already bought it up, right? So does that just convert me over to the base tier? Or do they do an incentive like Xbox did with Game Pass, where they let you basically it upgrades you to the thing? I mean, we'll see how that plays out. Going back to the other thing you said, PlayStation doesn't have the war chest that Microsoft does to be able to pull off Game Pass. They're not going to do it, and they don't have the real incentive to do it because they're the leaders in the clubhouse by far. Let's not forget that even with all the acquisitions of Bethesda and Activision and everything that Microsoft is doing, Xbox is still a distant third compared to PlayStation when it comes to revenue and market share. So Xbox does Game Pass because what are they trying to do? They're trying to incentivize you to invest into their ecosystem so they can make up market share and grow and be a better business. As a gamer, yes, absolutely. I see the value in it. I think it's fantastic. It's why I talk about it all the time. But PlayStation doesn't have that same incentive. They're $70 for their games. Want to know why? Because they can. You know, you can't get a PlayStation 5. They sell out so quick. So for them to do a day and date with their games doesn't make sense for them from a business standpoint because they don't need to. So the play for them is, get people invested in the streaming. Give them value in the back catalog through the streaming with a lot of their classic games, a lot of games that people still want to play. I mean, getting access, maybe even to Vita games, things like that, is going to be an incentive for a certain amount of people. So that's, in my personal opinion, this is just me looking at, that's why you do a tiered approach, because not everyone wants to do that. Not everyone needs access to the back catalog of classic titles. They don't care. So you let them still get it at a lower tier. Maybe they want to dabble in streaming. That's why you have a middle tier. But then you have the all you can eat. I want everything that you can give me from the back catalog and streaming. That's the highest tier. And that's why I was saying before, I'm curious what that final pricing is going to look like for the final tier. And do I see enough value in it to want to do it? Maybe, maybe not. I'll probably get it no matter what, just to see how the streaming and whatever games I have in the back catalog, just to check it out. But I don't know if that's something I need long term. But we'll see. We'll see when they officially announce it and it comes out. And another thing, I do think it makes sense for them to do this now, because no matter how they launch it, it won't be perfect. Nothing ever is when it launches. So any bugs, issues, community feedback, this gives them plenty of time the rest of this year, that by the time you get to the holiday, where you're going to see this heightened awareness on picking up new PlayStations and games and subscribing to stuff, they can kind of quote unquote work out the kinks by then, and probably have some other value add incentive to throw in there this holiday to get people to want to subscribe to it, especially at the highest tier. So we'll see.
If you had a dream Christmas list of features, what would your perfect service be?
I mean, again, I don't expect them to do day and date. So it's kind of like I was saying before. I would probably offer the launch lineup of the PlayStation 5 games in there. I would take some of the last big, like Ghost of Tsushima, Last of Us 2 would probably be a part of it, right? From a newer game standpoint. And then, I have access to not all, but some of the most popular PlayStation 3, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 1 games at launch. And maybe you do it in a layered approach where you don't get everything day one, but they kind of spread them out through the year, kind of like what Nintendo does. So it gives you that incentive to want to stay subscribed, because you're going to get access to new games throughout the year, or, classic games throughout the year. The streaming stuff, you obviously know I'm big on cloud streaming. So I'm interested in that, to be able to stream, obviously, through the console, on my PC, my mobile device, knock on wood, Steam Deck one day, stuff like that would interest me to be able to do. So that would probably be my wish list. And I know they were talking about you get access to some game demos. I would imagine you would probably get a discount on newer titles. So say instead of spending $70 for God of War Ragnarok, maybe you only have to spend 60 or 65 or whatever the percentage would be. So there's some value add there to be a subscriber so that even as I'm buying the newer games, I can get them cheaper than if I wasn't a subscriber. Stuff like that. That to me seems to make the most sense.
This is Gamertag Radio.
Hey everyone, Pete here. I wanted to tell you that Zero Carbs beer is here. We're excited to be one of the first podcasts to partner with the brand new Bud Light Next, their first zero carb beer. Yep, that's right. You heard it. Zero carb beer. You might be asking yourself, why? Well, because it's beer. And just because I live in Europe doesn't mean they don't drink beer here. And, on a serious note, it's legitimately good enough that you forget it's beer because of its crisp and light. And as we get into spring, we're all trying to fit into our bathing suits after the holiday bulking season. So you can't feel guilty when it's zero carbs and only 80 calories. And it's also F1 season. And just like last week, I'll be watching the race later tonight and cracking open an ice cold Bud Light Next. If you don't believe us, go try Bud Light Next for yourself. It's in stores right now. Just go on over to any retailer in your area, or to find one online who delivers right to your door, head on over to budlight.com/next. Again, that's budlight.com/NEXT. Enjoy responsibly. Messaging for 21 and older.
You're listening to Gamertag Radio.
I guess so. Do you? It's funny because now I'm starting to see, and maybe this is just because, and I'm wondering, and I'm trying to find the right way to word this. If this is just the Eastern versus Western methodology for subscription services, because Nintendo follows the exact same process pattern, right? They're not going to offer day and date, but they'll offer it after 6 months, a year, or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. So maybe this is just how, us here in the States and with Microsoft, that's how they will, I say us, like I don't live in Europe. But that's just how Microsoft's way of providing value and content. Whereas obviously Nintendo, again, like you mentioned earlier with Sony, they don't need to. Sony, they don't need to. They already have the market share. They've already got that lead of everything. So I'm slowly but surely starting to come to the realization that, Sony and Nintendo, they're not gonna do what everybody else does. They're just gonna do their own thing because they don't have to succumb to everybody else's requests or needs or wants, because they have the market share. They have the coffers of money. And I disagree with you. I think Sony has the money. They just don't feel the need to invest in those other things because it's just not necessary, right? You can't find one just sitting on a shelf, at your local brick and mortar or online. You have to wait months and months and months and hope you get one. Quick question: the games, the cloud streaming. Do you think this is just the ability to stream just to the PlayStation device, or do you think that there would or could in any way, shape, or form, either now or in the future, be a way where we can stream it over a browser like Xbox?
I do. I absolutely think that's coming. They'll, just like I think there'll be an Xbox app on your smart TVs, I think there'll eventually be a PlayStation app on your smart TVs. Like I said, being able to do it through the PC, through mobile devices as well. It's all coming, I believe. And I'm not super vested in PlayStation Now right now, so apologies if I'm off on this, but I do believe you can stream on PC right now with PlayStation Now. Pretty sure you can. In fact, while we're talking, I will look that up now.
It might be reason to pick up PlayStation Now.
Yeah. PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, PC. Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Right now. Yep. And there's 700 plus games you can stream right now on PS Now. So all they're doing is taking what the existing infrastructure and just rolling it into the subscription service. And I'm sure they're going to enhance it and add more stuff. That's why I'm thinking you're going to see the the PS3, PS2, PS1 games become a part of this as well to just, have that value add, at the highest tier.
What games are available on that?
You're asking me too many questions now. I don't know because I'm not trying to look into it. It says 700 plus. There you go. I'm looking at the thing now. I see Wolfenstein on here. I see Fallout. I see Crysis, Grand Theft Auto, Vice City, Shadow Warrior, Mortal Kombat 11. There you go. I'm not looking any deeper than that.
But it's not like I could play Ghostwire Tokyo or I could play Ghost of Tsushima or anything like that. I would have to wait.
Not right now, but I think you will. I think that happens. Right. Okay. So I think I don't know, God of War Ragnarok as an example. I think you'll be able to stream that. I think that will happen.
Okay. Very cool. Very cool. What do you think of Xbox's new? I think it's a good time to pivot since we're still talking cloud and stuff. What do you think of Xbox's new cloud native gaming division, led by the Portal and Left 4 Dead developer?
Logical step. It makes sense. Of course, that's what they're going to do. They're going to have that pillar because they're clearly invested in cloud streaming, cloud gaming, basically letting you play games on any device that you have that has an internet connection. So the next logical step, which ironically enough really goes all the way back to 2014 with Crackdown 3, the power of the cloud. Remember that mantra. This is where it's headed because they're already doing it and people don't realize it. Games like Halo Infinite and Flight Simulator already take advantage of Azure, features, as far as streaming in assets through the cloud, right. AI sitting up in the cloud, for some of the NPC content. It's already happening. So to now pivot to make games that literally you can't run locally, they can only happen because of Azure assets. Makes sense. So that's why they're going to have this division. And, that was the rumor with Kojima originally going to go to Stadia because that was Google's intent and they obviously shuttered it. And now Kojima became a free agent and we don't know if he's signed with Microsoft or he hasn't, but that was the rumor because he had an idea for a cloud game that he wanted to do. So to get developers like him and others on board to start making cloud specific games, it's the future. People get so freaking mad at me online because I talk about cloud gaming. I don't want to do that. It's a choice. You don't have to do it with the way it currently is now. But as broadband speeds improve, especially on the mobile side, as the infrastructure improves, let's have that conversation 5-7 years from now. And that's probably the games that we're talking about that specifically will run because of the cloud. That's when you're going to start to see them 5-7 years from now. And we're going to be in a different world technology wise as far as that goes. And not that it's necessarily going to be commonplace, not that it's going to replace local hardware. That's not going to happen anytime soon. We'll be well into the 2030s, maybe even the 2040s before we have that type of reality. But I think in the short term, you're going to see cloud gaming supplement the way we play games now. It's going to happen.
I can't wait. That's an exciting time for technology and for gaming in general. Obviously, the two of us we're in IT and we see things from the infrastructure side that the normal layperson doesn't see on a regular basis or perhaps even understand. The fact that we are now to the point where we can, and I say we, it's not me obviously, but where we can use the cloud for so many assets that are delivered in a game, whether it be physics, lighting, environment, AI, allowing the local device, right, whether it's Xbox or PlayStation, to just focus on the processing of local assets and making sure that players can join, in a desync free environment. My God, that would be that's like a life dream for someone who plays games as often as we do. But I mean, it's also being able to use it to maybe detect, toxic players on the other side of the controller, on the other side of the headset, using AI to automatically identify, whether it's someone using, whether just any form of online toxicity, right? Whether it's sexism, racism, et cetera. I think it'd be really cool. But I think it also gives a great opportunity for more procedurally generated environments and games. I think that's something obvious. Was it Hello Games' No Man's Sky, games like that just they could just keep on going in infinity. Who was the other one? Player Unknown, who obviously left PUBG, and he's doing his own thing. He's looking at building Web3 and essentially a procedurally generated universe for gaming in real time and in true real space. I think it's phenomenal. And I hope Kim Swift is able to produce this successfully for Microsoft. She comes with good pedigree. We see other developers doing it. I think Ubisoft announced Scalar last week or something like that, or the week before, which is essentially their own cloud engine as well, or their own cloud compute technology. So I think that'd be really cool. And I want to see how that gets used for existing IP like The Division or maybe even Assassin's Creed. I mean, I know a lot of those titles might be a little fatigued for some, but to see how well designed and developed games like Assassin's Creed, whether it be Valhalla or the last two previous to those, to be able to expand upon the local or the region that you're in and have those assets shipped in over the wire and see the spaces grow. And you're no longer, while they call it an open world, you're always confined by specific lines where you can't go beyond. I would love to be able to see how cloud computing would remove those boundaries from those open world areas and actually start generating walls and rooms and doors and buildings where you can go, with verticality or, with water traversal and things like that. It's a great time. Again, like you said, 5 to 7 years, when those are truly things that we're seeing in games, it's going to be super exciting.
Yep. Completely agree. Yep. It will be exciting times indeed. Cool. So I think that's it for this week.
Okay.
I think we're good. So I want to remind everyone before we get out of here to leave us feedback, and you can do it just like this.
Send us your feedback or questions. Give us a call at 786-273-7GTR. Email us at fanmail@gamertagradio.com or leave a message on speakpipe.com/gamertagradio.
All right, Pete, any last words before we get out of here?
All right. One last thing I did want to bring up. I agree with you, Tunic. Holy crap. I think this is the second episode in a row that I just want to mention that title because right now, early game of the year for me. I know it's on your kind of funny board. It was your last pick or something like that. It was like your panic pick because you needed the last title or something like that.
Well, yeah, because I knew I was losing Stalker 2, so I needed to get a game, so I grabbed it. Which, so far I'm doing pretty good. So
yeah, I'm really enjoying it. And for those, I know we've got people in the audience that are Ocarina of Time fans. Longtime GTR listeners will know. Not a big fan of Zelda. I've maybe got 12 minutes of game time in my 48 years of life. There's a PC port coming out, and that might entice me enough to come in and play Ocarina of Time. What are your quick thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's definitely, well, for me, just for various reasons, it's one of the greatest games ever made. Hits me on so many different levels. So absolutely. Obviously, we're in 2022 now versus 1998. So, you're not going to have it with the same eyes that I did, but I thought it was fantastic for what it was during its time. I would just say, since you're bringing up like Tunic and everything, just diving back into the back catalog of like Link to the Past, Link's Awakening, like you mentioned, Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask. I mean, that era of Zelda. And then you had like the Game Boy, the other Game Boy games, because Link's Awakening was originally a Game Boy game. Was it Oracle of Seasons, I believe, stuff like that. There's like so many Zelda titles from that era that invoke what Tunic is today, that if you're loving Tunic, if you were to go back and play some of those, I think you'll see what the inspiration was for that, Death's Door, things like that. Because they were fantastic.
Very cool. Very cool.
All right. So with that, I want to thank everyone for listening to this episode of Gamertag Radio. What was this? 1,202. I still remember when Danny and I did 1,000. That seems like it was just yesterday, and we're already 200 past that, which is incredible. But I want to thank everybody for listening. I'm sure we'll all be back next week. Again, this is Gamertag Radio. I'm Paris. That's Pete. And we'll see you guys soon.
Thanks for listening to Gamertag Radio. Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.